Sunlight begins to fade now, and I feel like I'm losing time, but I don't know how I'm here. The sunlight has turned to gray, and I feel like I'm losing love again. I don't know how I'm here. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. 'Cause it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna breathe. And it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna need.
Hello everyone, welcome to Simracers World TV for the Sunday GT3 World League, sponsored by SimracerCoin. My name is Hasse Rømer. I'm here with Jack Oliphant for another round of racing here from Road Atlanta. We're here this very Wednesday for the SRW GT Pro Series, and many of us were there last weekend as well, with more or less success for the Petit Le Mans. So 30-some GT3 cars around a track known for causing havoc indeed. Jack, your expectations for tonight?
Well, not having been here for the entire 6 rounds, I'm fairly fresh and new to the excitement of the GT3 Sunday League, but I'm very much hoping that a track like this will lend itself to some brilliant racing, and that those S's sections that sort of plague the beginning of this Road Atlanta lap will just be absolute carnage at the beginning. So hopefully everybody can move it through safely, but I expect we'll see plenty of action going into that section, and especially as well coming out of the long straight into the sort of quite slow chicane. It's a bit deceptive down there, so on cold tyres that might be a bit of a problem.
Yeah, indeed, and cold tires, something we mostly recognize from Formula One broadcasts, and anyone watching the Nürburgring Grand Prix today certainly saw a lot of those going into turn 1. But we might see the very same thing here. Road Atlanta certainly with a full warm-up lap, though it's not always that easy to keep that heat in the tires. And all that section down through the S's in turn 5, especially with the outside curve, where it's so easy to lose it. I think we're gonna see some interesting stuff today. Anyway, let us hop over to some live pictures as qualifying, Jack, has just gotten underway.
They have indeed, and we were having a look in practice, Hasse, and well, I'll be able to tell you the sort of top 5 in practice. Those are the drivers that are probably the best ones to look out for. So Tima, Tiestas, Mulder, Naya and Valet were all drivers around the top 10, and of course we've been noting as well that the next level racing, 4 out of the top 5 were all next level racers. Only Mulder was the Ferrari separating them. So those are the drivers you can expect to see as the hot laps start to come in, sort of pushing their way towards the top of the timing sheet. But for now, I think it's just going to be 20 minutes of full-on trying to avoid traffic, basically.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Finding that clear track space for putting in a good lap in qualifying has proved to be difficult, and it's really not a long track here, so with this amount of cars out there, you really have to choose your effort and moment wisely indeed. And just having a look here at we had our last race at Zandvoort. We have several drivers from the top end of the standings not showing up today. Valdir Suarez either missing or having his plane delayed, but anyway, that was enough for him not to make today's race. But Pete Plastow, our second place driver in the Ferrari as well, is not here for the race, at least if he is. He has shown up in the very, very, very last of moments. Has flown completely under the radar, but I haven't seen him yet. And so as well, fourth place Kamal Hashimi has showed up, so I think it's going to be a really good chance for Cohen Mulder. Currently saying, but let's just have a look at the standings there. So Valdir Suarez 122, championship leader Pete Plastow on 115, and then Cohen Mulder with 25 points. So gain here today, he's third with 88. Eric Verley on 80, and then Alfredo Tricorici in sixth place. He's on 74 points. But a lot of drivers able to. Oh, someone's made heavy contact with the wall there, and I'm afraid that's Damien Koba, who we were following around here in the final corner. Jack, tell me what happened there.
Yeah, it looked like he was just pushing his way a little bit too much. Maybe he was on a hot lap, to be fair, but. Yeah, just a little bit too early, too much too early, shall we say. And going over that crest, it's quite blind. These guys have been practicing quite a lot, but you go over there, it's a little bit blind, and the car just sort of takes away from you a little bit because the gravity, sort of the shift of momentum, the shift of weight, just makes the car wash out slightly. So he obviously got a bit caught out with that, ended up getting the compression down on the car, and all of a sudden found himself veering right off the circuit, overcorrection, straight into the wall. It's something that nearly every Simra driver has ever done, probably around Road Atlanta, and it's something probably not the last thing we'll see as well today.
No, I'd be very surprised if it's the only calamity we'll see throughout this race. And Road Atlanta really is one of those classic racetracks where on most of the track there really isn't a long way from where the tarmac stops to where the wall section begins, and that always makes it a little more dramatic than some of the more modern racetracks where we see a whole heap of a runoff area. At the moment, Timothy van der Broek, the Dutchman, the privateer in the BMW Z4, leading qualifying in ahead of Eric Verley, Cohen Mulder, Sven Dalmans, and Alfredo Tricorici, fifth at the moment. We have Martin de Jong sixth, he's on an outlap at the moment as well. Then Dirk Reski, who has gone from the McLaren to the Mercedes in the number 18 car, of course still for Holy Cow Racing. Perhaps he got a little tired of the twitchiness there, and someone, I think that's Jan Arbau, who's been off there, and perhaps it's gonna tell us a little more. That's exiting the pits, and that to me looks like someone driving iRacing on a controller. Jack, I've never seen this before.
Driving iRacing on a controller is probably something that is one of the most ill-advised things to do. It's a very, very difficult, I can imagine. I'll be honest, never tried it, and I've never ever seen anybody else try it. But if he is trying to do it on a controller, which by the sort of body language of the R8 he's got there, look at the steering wheel. It's either on or it's off. That is going to be an interesting one. He's clearly, maybe he does normally race with the wheel, and the wheel's not working, but he doesn't want to miss out, so he just grabbed his nearest controller. It was almost like he's playing on a keyboard and mouse there. That's how jerky that thing's looking.
So we're gonna keep an eye out and keep cheering for Jan Arbau here to just see if he can make it through, because that's gonna be something special. This Pete Plastow in chat here on the YouTube chat. Good evening, Peter. Watching from a distance today. I guess we're all keeping social distance and still in these times, but such a shame to not see you on track. Of course, fair play and fair game in the end, since it keeps the championship standings level, since Valdir Suarez isn't here as well today. Now Elroy Timmer and Nils Teeslers, both of Next Level Racing, haven't gone faster than Timothy van der Broek, and there's an Audi spinning around that Scoopsy Arbau. I think if he hit someone else, he'd be saying me Scoopsy, but certainly didn't. Just the outside of turn 5 catching him out there. And you just got a taste of my terrible sense of humor. I apologize.
I quite enjoyed it, to be fair, but yeah, he just got collected on, well, not collected, but he just got a little bit too far on the outside of the curb, and Yeah, that's what can happen around here. It's so easy, especially that S section. I'm sure we'll get an onboard with someone during this qualifying, maybe one of the fast lads, to try and show you what the sort of difference is between Road Atlanta and most other courses, because turn 1 is not some hard, heavy braking zone where you can make loads of moves. Actually, no, it's trying to set up to survive the next 4 or 5 corners with the sort of constant S's that you're going through turn 1 now, actually, with Timothy van der Broek. And as you can see the pit lane on the outside there, you come over this blind crest and into a braking zone, flick it right, make sure you're not hitting the curb, keep it to the left, and then pick a point on the track on the outside and just turn in and hope your car sticks. And this is where we saw the driver spinning off before. He just clipped that apex and went a bit too wide on the exit there, but luckily Van der Broek just kept it all together.
Yeah, indeed, the section from turn 3, the entrance, at least the entrance of turn 3 through the braking zone over the crest, blind right-hander where you really just have to throw it in. And the same with the entrance to the S's. Downhill, you can't really see the corner that you're aiming for. You just have to have had enough practice to just know exactly where to point the car and turn in at the right time and hope that it indeed was the right time as well. And so often we see drivers getting it wrong there. Here, Timothy van der Broek, he's coming down into the braking zone, into the chicane as well. You can see all the rubber there left on the track in that heavy braking zone, and towards the very outside. Some people take a little more curb there, you can at least, and then feel the car go light across the crest, then flat out for some cars. Perhaps not these GT3s, might be the slightest of lifts there in the final corner. And back we are for the start of another lap. And I think here with Road Atlantis, it's so short, it's really one of the tracks that, at least to my mind and opinion, gives you the best senses of flow, well, in the world. I think it's utterly amazing, but I'm not sure if you agree there, Jack.
It's a track that I have actually, I've run very few iRacing races in my sim racing time, but Road Atlanta's actually one I did end up winning, so I don't mind it too much, although I've had a lot more crashes than race wins around here. But yeah, it's only 2.5 miles, like you mentioned, but it's everybody lovingly knows it as the sort of Petit Le Mans, really. It's such a demanding track, and as we get onto the sort of back section of the lap, it's sort of almost, it looks like what you could argue being sort of a more normal track, you know, fast, flat out right hand, a couple of 90 degrees, a chicane, and but it's so much more than that. As you break down the hill, you have to pick a braking zone that looks a lot earlier than you suspect, and then the track just keeps coming and going in and out, sort of undulations and everything, and it's all 12 turns are demanding. In a lot of ways, it's a bit more like Brands Hatch GP than anything like Silverstone, if anybody wants any kind of comparisons to any British tracks. But yeah, it is certainly demanding, and it takes a lot to get the most out of the cars around it.
It certainly does. And just having a look at the qualifying table here at the moment, it's still Elroy Timmer in front of Koen Mulder, Nils Teesters, then Timothy van der Broek and Savino Melillo, who's put his very much Italian Ferrari in 5th place at the moment here. So just about 12 minutes in, 8 minutes still to go in this session. And just a friendly reminder to everyone out there, please do consider subscribing to Sim Racers World TV if you want to be kept up to date. And of course, if you enjoy what we do here on the channel, give us the good old subscribe and hit the bell to get notified whenever we go live. Because sometimes, well, you might just miss it otherwise. And who would want that? Anyways, back to qualifying action here. Eric Verlet quit pit stop, and he's out in 7th place currently with a 121.5. I'm sorry. Next Level Racing, who seems to field 3 different cars, all similarly styled in the livery here. Up ahead is, I believe it's Justin Nair in the Audi. I'm trying to get a look at who's finishing their laps here. Is Stephen Kral coming across the line. Artie Buskard is right here for Stage 1 Racing. And he's in the chicane underneath the bridge and into the final corner. Will he improve upon his last lap? No, certainly not this time around. Neither does Tricorici.
Just having a look, Kata, and the pole time, it's sort of passed me by a little bit, because Elroy Timmer, he was he was quick in practice, but he's just stuck in. Well, he hasn't just stuck in, to be fair, but he's a second quicker than Mulder. He's about 9/10 ago, but yeah, pretty much a second quicker than anybody else. And everybody else is just so close in comparison to each other. Timmer's really got not only the circuit hooked up, but obviously the car underneath him that he's been dreaming of going into this round. And I know you like to talk about Chris Powell as he comes across the line and improves to 16th, being the lone Ford. So he's doing quite well. He's put himself thoroughly in the mid-pack.
Yeah, indeed, Chris Pio in the Ford GT car that we always like to cheer for. It's very, very, very rare indeed that we get to see any of these machines in iRacing anymore. It's a very old machine by now. It's somewhat outdated. I guess it doesn't really run anywhere except for perhaps at Goodwood in museums and so. The Ford GT now being chased down by one of the Mercedes here, but it is so in the midfield here, 17th position at the moment for Chris Pio. The number 5 car here is Nils Teesters, who's the quickest car currently on track, and he's making me look stupid by diving into the pits immediately.
Yeah, if he was the fastest car on track, you have to wonder why on earth he's dived into the pits, unless he got an off-track, maybe going into the chicane and saw that his lap was going to be invalidated and thought he would just pull in and maybe strap a new set of tyres on, because he may have 5 minutes where he can get out and start putting the lap times back in.
Oh, well, yes, indeed. Look at this. Savino Melillo now goes second fastest, a 1:21 dead, more or less, at least. That is, it's very close to the time of Cohen Mulder. And Justin Nair there as well, just a few tenths off of, but not even a tenth between Savino Melillo and Cohen Mulder there. And still they are almost a second off of Elroy Timmer, who was right here. Down through the S's he goes, and it is... Oh, and he gets it very wrong there. Elroy Timmer, and he'll be glad it's sim racing here and not real life, because I reckon the mechanics would have had a tough time getting that car ready. What do you reckon happened to him there, Jack?
Well, we were talking about how the S's are so difficult and so complex, and obviously we were talking about the undulations of the track as well, and he just goes over the blind right here. I said pick a point and turn in. You don't want to turn in onto those curbs, though, because it's really difficult. You have to be... The car is on a knife edge as you're going through there, and the last thing you want to do is hit something to upset the car, i.e. a big curb. So, yeah, Timmer won't be enjoying that one too much. He will be glad he's in the sim racing world, like you said, Hasse, but he'll be back out, and as I said, he's got about 8 tenths to the good from Melillo, who, by the way, is 12th in the championship, Melillo. So this is going to do him no harm whatsoever if he can keep it around this top 5 for the race. If he can, you know, he's one of the few drivers that's touching towards the 20s.
Yeah, indeed, he's, if anyone, the man who can bring it to Timmer, but I think Elroy Timmer, who did also last time around at Zandvoort, put in the same kind of performance, and perhaps we had an idea that it was kind of home advantage at Zandvoort, but here across the Atlantic Ocean onto Road Atlanta, and he is just as fast, every bit as fast as he was a couple of weeks ago here. Oh, that's a bit of traffic for Artie Buscard. Was getting held up, and his teammate is in behind. That is... I wonder if that's the car of Eric Verlet. They're in behind as well. No, there isn't. Of course it isn't. It is the... It's one of the Stage 1 cars as well. It is Sven Dalemans here, of course. They're just fiddling around the edges of the top 10 at the moment here. So no improvement for Savino Melillo in that last lap, as we are 2.5 minutes or so from the end of qualifying here, Jack.
We are indeed, and the from second down to 14th, just about, pretty much 15th, is separated by about, it's separated by 1 second, so it's extremely close, this sort of top mid-pack almost, but then it doesn't exactly get much bigger. You see a car in the wall on the right-hand side here as we're focusing on Valet, but he's having to go past a driver who's straight in the wall, and this is Reski. So he's obviously decided to switch cars, and you could argue that's been a bit risky.
It certainly has been for Dirk here. He cuts across. That seemed to be fairly safe. He wasn't the car on the wall at least here. I think Timo Paya. Oh, Timo Paya. But that wasn't the car we were talking about either. So there must have been some other incident as well, because someone was coming off from the right hand side. Here's Robert van den Heuvel, who goes by the nickname of Rob the Lobster, but he gets it stopped as well. And then there was a fourth, and for this time around, last incident, very much around the same part of the track here, for Alfredo Cicarici, who just loses the rear end and keeps control of that car. And that, I think, to be honest, was rather impressive here. Into the final minute of qualifying we go. We're going to bring up the qualifying display just to see if we can get an overview of the lap times that are coming in here. Chris Pio is about to cross the line for his, well, I think, penultimate flying lap. That's not going to be much good for him. And he's got one more shot.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for him to get round and start a flying lap. It is with a lot of these cars, sorry, but it just goes to show that little compilation that we just sort of shown you, that all happened within about a minute of each other, all the cars flying off. And I know these drivers are trying to get the most amount out of their cars, the best time they can possibly put in. But Hasse, it shows that this track does not forgive you. As we said, it's not like Silverstone. It's not like anywhere like that. It's a unforgiving track where you really have to make sure you're giving it as much respect as you possibly can, whilst also working with it to maybe make sure you get a good time out of it. As we see Timmer there, he's 6/10 off. So, but he's still, even with that last lap that he's just put in, he would still be on pole position. So Timmer is definitely the favourite going into this race.
Elroy Timmer, indeed. When you put your car on pole position by almost a second, or 0.8 of a second, as the advantage stands at the moment, you will also be made favorite, I think. You'll have to live with that here. He seems very planted as he still has this lap left, and looking at the times that are coming in, aren't really seeing any improvements to the personal bests. Adi Buskard is about to cross the line at 24.3. That's not going to be any improvement for him, as the checkered flag is out now.
It is indeed, yeah. Malilo is managing to keep hold of that second place as well, which is fantastic driving by him. Mulder, he was third in practice. He seems to be third in qualifying as well. Nahia and Tiester's not quite able to sort of match their times that they had in qualifying. And Valet as well, all the way down in 9th place. And in practice, he was 5th, all the way down in 9th place. That's not what he was hoping for.
No, I think that's very much correct. And, well, that's how it is here. As he crosses the line, and does he improve there, Timmer? I think he actually did improve by just about a 100th of a second or so. I think he's improved. Or was it just me? But anyway, it's not gonna matter too much anyways, because it's a, well, it's more than solid qualifying session for the Dutchman here, as we're just awaiting the final cars to cross the line here. Eric Verley is still on track, I believe, actually. So we're going to see here, he's pitting in at this very moment. And now we are just awaiting the final cars to come to a stop. And for the qualifying results, for the grid order to appear on your screen. And for me to go through them, of course, as well. And here we go. Elroy Timmer for Next Red Level Racing NL. The Netherlands in pole position as well, in front of Sambino Melillo and Cohen Mulder. Strong there by the Dutchman. The privateer in 3rd place, Justin Nair in 4th, then Niels Tiesters, Timothy van der Broek and Martin de Jong in 7th, then Dirk Reski in 8th place with Eric Verleeg in 9th, and Alfredo Tricarici in 10th position, Sven Delmans, the Belgian, and Artie Buskard in 12th. That's row 6, of course, Steven Orell for Holy Cow Racing in the vegan Mercedes, then Damian Koba from Poland in 14th place, Steven Kral, Nils Cornelis, EJ Fjellner and Robert van den Heuvel in 18th place, Rob the Lobster, that is. Jose Godinho in 19th, then Chris Pio, Cody Steeg, Scusi Artbau and Dirk Brinksma in the 23rd place, number 1 McLaren, indeed. Matthew Maddox in 24th, and then scrolling down to the final bit of the grid order here, Ryan Donaher, John Bergen, Timo Paya in 27th, and Jan Arbau, Paul Rosek, Mark Hewson in 30th, And Mark Bradshaw from Canada as well in 31st place. So with the I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's a full grid, Hasse, and I'm just having a look at a few of the comments as well as we see the cars sort of lining up, ready to make their sort of warm-up just before they get going. It's obviously a short half a lap warm-up, so I'll be quick. But we got a couple of people on the chat as well. Peter saying they need a Ferrari win today, so he's certainly rooting for the Ferraris. Success Cohen, so Cohen's got a bit of a fan club going on, and so is Koba all the way down in 14th. So I'm sure we've got a few drivers and a few people watching, really hoping that their drivers can go forward and have a fantastic race.
Indeed, and just a slight correction, Jack, but actually we do have an entire lap plus a little bit extra. Or have they changed it? They might have changed it, because for last week, for Petit Le Mans and for the SRW, the midweek, they had an entire lap. I think you're very much correct, and I'm very much wrong on this one, because the field is rolling behind the safety car.
Well, I mean, you could be right. To be fair, it is my first time, but I think, by the looks of it, with the lights on the screen, we're going to have an exciting race no matter when it starts. I'm sure, Hasse.
Yeah, indeed. Here is Savino Melillo, and Elroy Timmer's going to be on the inside, and he's going to be the one to control it. And he's gone early, and look at Savino Melillo being caught napping there. Cohen Mulder up into second already, and it's going to be a messy start, I'm afraid, in behind. Oh, a lot of cars going through it here. Into turn one they come. That's Trico Ricci and Eric Ferlet as well. Looks like Dirt Rescue's had a very good start as well. And already, no one's really had any trouble yet so far here. Into turn 3 they come, though. This is usually where it starts getting tight, as we try to scroll through and down through the order to see if they all make it through. There's Scusi Arbau, he's been off. So someone's had a problem at least there. And it hasn't been all smooth sailing. Elroy Timmer, a very efficient start indeed. But look at the worm of cars coming down into turn 6 and the hairpin at turn 7, Jack. What a start.
Well, Timmer's absolutely flown away. Stunning start by him. He timed it to perfection. He caught Melillo out. Cohen Mulder luckily took advantage from his perspective and launched himself into second place, because he's the man that you can potentially see a big leap in the championship from today, with so many other drivers not turning up. But here's Tiesta's point of view now. He's in behind Savino Melillo. He's looking for the inside. He's already diving up the inside as well. They have to be early on the brakes for that corner, and he's gone slightly wide. And I think Mulder maybe made that move. But sorry, Mulder is in second place. Tiesta's made that move. Melillo has fallen down yet another place.
Absolutely. Ace move there from Nils Teasters up the inside, and you can just see Savino Melillo, first of all, locking or just braking a little too hard, carrying too much speed, missing the apex. And I think that's pretty much right, that he might actually have given up another position in behind there. As I'm actually not quite sure about that. But no, he's still ahead. He's in 4th place now, behind Nils Teasters. Justin Nair, they're chasing on, and there's a big gaggle of cars here as Eric Verlet is on the tail of Timothy van der Broek, the Dutchman, who was...
He is indeed, and Timmer's actually, I'll just have a look at my notes, Timmer's actually going for a second win in a row as well. I think he won out in Zandvoort from my notes anyway. And here at Road Atlanta, he seems to be fairly dominant as well. He's already putting in purple sector time, so no one's catching him at the moment. So 1:25 is his lap slap. Mulder with a 1:27. I know it's the ultimate opening lap, but there's action in the background, Hasse.
Yeah, Sven Daleman's just getting pushed off ever so slightly. He's rejoined, and without any further big matters of concern there, he's back running. Here's Scusi Arbau, still trying to see just what happened to him. He says he's entered the pit lane. Oh, that must be airborne pit entry, I'm afraid, here for Scusi Arbau. Look at that. Oh, my word. That had nothing to do with the pits, I'm afraid. Just a bit of a misconception. But a big deal of damage there to that car anyways, and I think he's out of the race, I'm afraid. Let's go back to our lead car, Elroy Timmer here on the 3rd lap of racing, looking absolutely dominant, setting hugely fast lap time there, Jack. A 1:20.8 here on race fuel.
That is stunning. I mean, we saw him put in a 1:20.8 in his penultimate lap in qualifying, and I said that would still be good enough to put him on pole. So that's a perspective, really, because all these other drivers, now they got race fuel on, they're likely to go slightly slower. than they were in qualifying, and Timmer is already on full race fuel, putting quicker lap times than they could do in qualifying. So Timmer is really dominant, but a big shake around there by Eric Valet. So it's clearly going to catch a few drivers out this track, but we saw it also in qualifying. Timmer obviously going through the S's, he made a big mistake as well, but Brooks now trying to go past Valet. He's going to the inside for the flat-out right-hander, but crucially Hassel's going to be on the outside for the chicane, and that's the important bit because that's the braking zone.
Yeah, but the outside then becomes the inside for the rest of it. Oh, they make contact. I'm afraid they're not going to get that far. Oh, Timothy Thunderbrook. Oh, he's going to have a thing or two to say to Eric Verlet after that move. Have another look at this one. Just going to see if we can just catch it on the slow-mo cam here, Jack, because coming into the braking zone, they seem spaced apart pretty well. Eric Verlet then cuts across. Looks like a little bit of netcode, early contact to me, but somehow they managed to keep that stuff going and then into the chicane. Oh, and Timothy Vanderbroek, just as we go away, he's been off here, and it's at turn 1.
Yeah, I think he's got damage. I think it may be suspension because he couldn't get the car slowed down. He couldn't get it turned in the slightest. So it's, yeah, unfortunately, I think after that incident before, which I don't think he was entirely at fault for in any way, really, he's just going along the outside, he's actually suffered a bit of damage, and now he seems to be falling down the orders. So Vanderbroek is not having the race he was hoping for.
That was certainly not the stuff he was looking for whatsoever. And Eric Verlet, a little bit surprised about that, because usually he is a clean racer indeed. And he's been in for plenty. Oh, we've had a problem, by the way, here for EJ Fuellner in the black Audi, who spins at turn 3, gets still standing, and that's why it says he had crashed, but he's back and running, no damage to his car. And Dirk Reski's gone past on Eric Verlet here, another move in to the chicane. Jack, tell us what you see.
Yeah, well, again, Verlet's actually on the inside. He's had this done to him in 2 laps in a row. This time, though, he doesn't fight it as hard. He brakes a little bit early. Maybe he's learned a little bit from his mistake. Reski gets a nice racing line through the corner, and as a result, sort of drops away from Verlet quite quickly.
Indeed, so now watching the battle for 5th and 6th position here. Justin Nair defending from Martin de Jong in the Mercedes. Seems to be on a very good bit of race pace here, Martin de Jong. And certainly competitive. And oh my word, as we've had a look at the fastest lap of Elroy Timmer, he's now improved upon what he did in qualifying with a 20.17 on his last lap. And he's gotten a gap of 10 seconds already, Jack, here. As we're on the 5th lap of racing. That is incredible.
I think he maybe is trying to do a challenge, maybe get them out of gap and then maybe be able to pit in and still win the race, because the speed that Timmer's just pulling off here is not only amazing, it's also completely unnecessary. With a 10-second gap, he can really sort of maybe take 2-3 tenths off his lap time and still just enjoy a good lap. But it's stunning for us to watch as we're on board with Dirk Brinksma, and this is a sort of fight for top 20. We've got the Ford GT of Chris ahead of us, and it's really interesting to see these sort of modern technology racing with the older ones. The McLaren obviously normally on the peak of modern edge technology against a Ford G40, which is well, let's say it's ancient, let's to put that nicely.
Well, it's not a GT40 to be fair, but it's a Ford GT from a generations of old.
Sorry, yes.
I think it's not too much older, actually, to be fair. That McLaren is legacy by now as well. The MP4-12C. You're into turn 3, they come, and it's also a different battle there. Oh! That was Dirk Brinksma getting it a little wrong there, turning in too early to turn 3. And getting across the curves, but managing to live to see another day. And we've had another problem here. Oh, and that's John Arbau. That's not who we're watching here. That's a better view of what happened to John Arbau. Oh, he's touched the grass. Is that the... I am afraid that is the controller. Audi. Oh, how he keeps control of that, I have no clue. But he manages to get it in and keeps it out of the wall here. Dirk Brinksma still on the tail of Chris Pio. And up ahead, we've got some very good battles. Here's Justin Nair still defending from Martin de Jong. Oh.
Yeah, he is. And well,
oh, sorry.
Carry on, Hasse.
Sorry, but I just saw Cohen Mulder Cohen Mulder has lost positions big time somewhere, and I don't really know exactly where, as I'm looking for it at the moment. But Cohen Mulder is in 6th place.
He is actually. He's at the back of this little fight. You can see the Ferrari at the back of this Audi Mercedes Ferrari fight, and that is Cohen Mulder in the Ferrari. So not too sure what's happened here as we're on board with Melillo. He's just gone wide out of the S's. So he's gone wide, lost all the momentum, gets his foot back down, and manages to not spin it into the wall. So he's got a bit away with that one, Hasse, because we've seen plenty of drivers go stage exit left straight into a wall, but he's sort of survived and managed to keep within touching distance in the top 5.
Yeah, but I'm afraid that he has indeed picked up a bit of damage there, because that right front bumper of the Ferrari is certainly not looking clean to me. I think he's had a light bit of contact, and if he's unlucky, that might just have affected his suspension, his front suspension there. Oh, look at Justin Nair getting a poor exit, gets a touch as well there from Martin de Jong, and that might open the door for Cohen Mulder. Oh, as they make contact, Martin de Jong spins the Audi of Justin Nair around. Can he keep it out the wall? No, but he can't get it into the pit lane. Dramatic stuff indeed. Oh my word. And Justin Nair. Let's have another look at this one, Jack. Interesting stuff here. So Nair in the middle there, he just gets caught off. I don't think the Mercedes really has anywhere to go, but he should probably just have lifted. And I'd say it's rather lucky for Justin Nair that he sees the pit entrance and not the pit wall.
I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. They were giving each other a little bit of taps to and from, going into the chicane, going through the chicane, coming out of the chicane, and then going over that sort of blind crest. It was going to always be really difficult, but Cohen Mulder, now we saw him, he dropped that back down to 6th. He's now back up to 4th as he's gotten past de Jong as well on the run through and past the start-finish straight. But yeah, from my perspective, the two drivers really needed to sort of just settle down and just understand that there needed to be racing room for both parties, and probably should have driven a bit smarter, really.
Yeah, so Cohen Mulder back up into 4th place with Martin de Jong on his tail, and here's Dirk Reski in his Mercedes, who had that spinner, and he's but that was in practice, of course, or was it in qualifying? That doesn't actually, it was in qualifying, but it doesn't really matter. He's doing well in the race here in 6th place, as they're having switched over from the McLaren MP4-12. He's having a look at his co-Mercedes driver, Martin de Jong, in front, and that's a difficult place to get it through there on turn 1, and indeed he doesn't either. There, Eric Verley still in 7th, then that's Artie Buscard, and then Alfredo Tricarici. Oh, and someone's had a little bit of a moment there. Let's just see if we can see. Was that Mulder got past on the inside? Oh, he got past. That's incredible. Incredible defending there from Cohen Mulder on the outside of turn 1.
Yeah, I think that's how he got de Jong after that incident before with Nair. But yeah, it's just a stunning drive to even think about going around the outside of turn 1 there. And I think Van der Broek was the driver going straight on at turn 3 as they see Tiestas now. I'll tell you what, this is potentially for the not the top of the lead, sorry, but that's Melillo. He had a bit of a bad start, Hasse. He was fell away from his 2nd place qualifying position, but I tell you what, he's fighting for it back now. He's gotten back into the rhythm, got his tyres up to temperature, his car's switched on, and now he's attacking Tiestas ahead of him.
Yeah, he really is, and he's looking every bit as racy as anyone we've seen in this field so far. He's doing very well for himself, the Italian. And in the words of Pete Plastow, we need a Ferrari win today, and well, it's either going to be Melillo or Mulder. And with the damage on Cohen Mulder's car, of course, if he can make it to the pit stop round, he can use his fast repair on getting that front end fixed. Although it doesn't seem to be impeding him too much as well at the moment. But if anyone except for this guy is going to win it, I think they're going to need him to have some kind of problem, some kind of crash or problem or whatever that might be. It doesn't seem like it's getting to him at the moment. Elroy Timmer absolutely on top, 12 seconds ahead of this battle here with his teammate as well, by the way, Nils Teesters defending from Savino Melillo. So a brilliant position for the next level racing NL drivers. And then Savino Melillo, oh, what a send up into the chicane, and I think he might just keep that position. Gets a good run here on the outside of it. We're just gonna see if the BMW is able to cut back at him, but that doesn't seem to be a thing here. And Jack kind of came from out of nowhere. Talk us through it, mate.
I mean, it's an awful long way back, but he's absolutely sent it, signed, sealed, and delivered that one. He was straight up the inside of the BMW. It didn't look like Tiestas was sort of fighting it too hard, but I don't think he even expected it. We certainly didn't expect it, but Melillo is now down to 4th position.
Oh my word, so they had that bit of an... Oh, look at this here, he gets sent upon by the BMW, picks up the grass there, and is he able to keep that in? Just about, but it's gonna cost him expensively in the end. Cohen Mulder back up into 3rd place.
Well, it's yo-yoing at the moment is Cohen Mulder and Melillo, because they keep spinning away, they keep coming back up, they keep fighting between each other, and I don't think they've fought between each other yet, to be fair, but they just keep sort of going off the circuit left, right and centre. The only driver really is Elroy Timmer that hasn't, to be fair. But here we are back on board with Fjellner. He gets a little bit stage exit right, a bit of a spin over the crest. We've seen plenty of drivers doing that, including our race lead at the moment, Elroy Timmer, in qualifying. It's pretty much the exact same move, exact same mistake that he made. So everyone can do that. And here we go straight into the tyre wall on the right hand side though, and that's a big hit. That is a big hit.
And that's going to be it as well, I think, for EJ Fjellner in there as well. Look at Savino Melillo on the outside. He's going to pass by Dirk Reski. And another one of the Mercedeses.
Well, he's fallen down the orders quicker than a stone in water at the moment, is Melillo, and he really needs to get his car back on track. I don't know if there's a little bit of damage or whether he's just gotten in sort of overthinking it a little bit or driving angry or overheated tyres, but he really needs to just bring this back down to neutral. He's got about 30 minutes of driving left, in which he can really make a difference and move up the order and then finish strong in the last 5 minutes. Obviously, I think there's a pit stop in between, Hasse, if you correct me if I'm wrong, but he really needs to just get into some kind of rhythm now, otherwise he's going to be absolutely nowhere in this race.
Indeed, there is a pit stop. We're following the VRS sprint format of 40 minutes and a relatively low fuel load of, I think, 40% of the tank full, which means that around half an hour's worth of running is what they're usually able to do here. What a terrible couple of laps here for Savino Melillo, down into 7th place. He looked so pacey, but seems to maybe he's just have overcooked it for himself and getting a little too aggressive on his input. Whatever happened, it went badly wrong. Here is Martin de Jong now 4th place. Dirk Reski in the Mercedes really picking up the pace. He's looking very racy as well. In behind there is Eric Verlet in 6th. These 3 Mercedeses currently fighting it out for top Mercedes honors at the moment, but it is Elroy Timmer leading for Audi in front of Nils Tiesters in the BMW, and then Cohen Mulder, who somehow seems to have gotten a bit of a let off here for the moment, and no doubt he's going to be enjoying that. Here's Robert van den Heuvel, Rob the Lobster, who's pressing, trying to get the better of Sven Dailmans.
Yeah, he's trying. I mean, we've seen the action all at the front of the field, but obviously there's plenty of action going on at the rear as well, and quite a few drivers who are the quicker drivers, you could argue, are falling back into these kind of fights because of the amount of mistakes that are going on. And Koba here, he was up to 14th. They're going side by side. There's a little bit of a twitch as they thought they were going to make contact between each other through the S's. Everybody gets through all right for now, but that could have been a big one, Hasse. As you just see, Oral now, he's in the yellow Mercedes. He goes up. It's a lovely move, but there's a little bit of a twitch from, I think that's Koba, and we thought there was going to be a big mistake, but luckily everybody sort of calmed down a little bit and everybody got through. But Koba is now, I was about to say, he's up, but there's a big twitch there by the BMW, and there's contact between him and Koba. The BMW comes back on, big contact between him and the Ferrari of Kral is that.
Stephen Kral got caught up in that one. Look, they just make contact there, and Stephen Kral doesn't know where to go. And he gets picked up by the BMW. Koba was unlucky before. That move from Stephen Oral in the orange Mercedes down there through the S's, that is usually not a place you want to overtake, that is for sure. And I am afraid we've had a problem for Timothy van der Broek as well. So I'm just going to see if I can find that one. This is probably the last of the two. Oh, he goes for a spinner. So he goes much too fast into the hairpin. and then just cuts across the track there, and he's quite a bit of way down now as well. He's in 15th place at the moment. Damien Koba's in for repairs as well. And out ahead in the lead is still Elroy Timmer here, just about a minute away from the halfway marker. In this race, we're on lap 14. That doesn't matter too much. More importantly, we're just around 19 minutes out of a total to do of 40 minutes of racing here. So it's a sprint race in the end here. And now he's started the dangerous task of passing the slower cars and lapping them as he's coming up through here. Elroy Timmer, Els Teasters, the teammate, still in second place, trying to defend from Koen Mulder. He's doing pretty well at the moment here, to be honest. And Martin de Jong is actually gaining here, Jack.
He is actually. He's getting within touching distance, and obviously we saw that de Jong, he had that sort of big incident with Nijers, I think, earlier on. Sorry, Nijher earlier on. He's back up to 11th place, but de Jong has actually gotten back into a rhythm, and he's really catching very nicely. And I was just about to say, as Timmer caught a few of the back markers, this is actually one of the few tracks, it's a bit like Brands Hatch GP in this way, as well as the fact that it's difficult to get past the back markers, purely because if the back markers start looking in the mirrors to see where they can pass you, let you pass, it can be a big offer. I think we're seeing a move for an actual track position as Paiha is going round Maddox. Maddox is going round Paiha, and we could see them late on the brakes into the chicane, and I think that's Paiha letting Maddox have that place, probably really rather sensibly rather than fighting it. It looked like the move was done fairly early on that straight.
Indeed, here, Koen Mulder's losing time. And by the way, if you are sitting out there in your... Well, if you're sitting in your rig right now thinking, oh, I wish I could race on SRW, well, fear not, rejoice. Because racing, well, there's plenty of racing here, but we are opening signups. Well, signups are actually open right about now for the up-and-coming SRW NASCAR series. Let's go check out the SRW homepage. Sign up to our Discord as well for more info there. And we hope to see you on track for the coming NASCAR series, which is... what coincidence that it is gonna be me and Jack Oliphant commentating on that series. It's gonna be coming up in the months of winter. 6 rounds of racing. It's gonna be oh so fun. At least we had a blast with the Dynamics Daytona 500. Here is Martin de Jong. Oh, picks up a little too much of that outside curb, just as he's getting close to Koen Mulder. But remember, Koen Mulder running that damage there at the front end of the car might just be impeding him ever so slightly. And a couple of cars in the... Oh, Rob van den Heuvel is in, and same goes for Chris Pio. And I'm just thinking, is that the scheduled stop for Pio, or is it something else? I'm not quite sure. I can't see any incidents really for him, so I'm having to think that it's just a scheduled stop here. Out he comes, indeed.
Yeah, I think we're about halfway now, so I would expect to start seeing people pitting in for their pit stops, and we saw Pio going in, and Mulder, actually, he's really getting reined in by de Jong and Reski, actually, as well, who's not been dropped, to be fair. So the 3 Mercedes are actually catching up with the Ferrari of Mulder slowly but surely, and this is Van der Heuvel as he goes through the S's on board now. It's stunning to see, and you know, it's a great appreciation. So there's a big moment in the front between Bergen and Maddox, actually, I believe, as they sort of switch themselves out of that out of the exit, and they're going side by side now into the corner. And actually, I think that is Timmer. No, sorry, that's Timmer as he was going through, but up the inside goes Bergen. Goes Pio on Bergen.
Yeah, indeed, Chris Pio gaining a position there in the Ford GT, and Elroy Timmer sneaking his way up through the lap traffic here. And I think at this very moment seems like it's the only thing that can really take this away from him. Just over the halfway point, he can afford to ease back. He's at a commanding lead of about 20 seconds. And we're still following this third place battle between Koen Mulder, Martin de Jong, and Dirk Reski, who's been going at it for quite a few laps now. And by the way, actually, look at this, they're just around 2 seconds off of Nils Teasters. So the BMW slowly but surely not getting caught to up to, then at least he's certainly not running away from the cars behind. And it could still be second place that's very much up for grabs here, especially if any of these Mercedes can get past Koen Mulder. and show what pace they can do here. Oh, we've had a problem as well for Damien Koba, I'm afraid, Jack.
Yeah, big transfer of weight, getting on the brakes, trying to turn the car. Everything was going wrong for him. He actually had a bit of an off moment with Chris Piao, who really didn't deserve that one. He was just trying to go through the corner and wanted to avoid the sort of car that was in the middle of the apex, basically, on the racing line over a blind corner. It's the worst place you want to be. And actually, he was so close to Tiestas there. He got very much away with it. That was, well, that was almost bad, that one, Hasse. That could have been ended in tears, disasters, fist fights and everything.
That could have been a huge one indeed. Nils Tiesters completely a passenger there as Chris Pio came across the track, I think. But at least, luckily enough for everyone involved there in due time, not to make any sort of contact, any kind of problems out of it. But no doubt about it, Nils Tiesters could have lost a little bit of time. And he did indeed lose a 10th or so to Koen Mulder. But from what I can see, Koen Mulder seems to be on the pace through the more technical sections, but here on the straight seems to be bleeding time. And Martin de Jong now really on his tail. He will be close up in a slipstream now, and that's sure going to be a problem for Koen Mulder, as the top runners here will be coming in towards the round of pit stops here, 15 minutes or so from the end of the race by now here, as I'm afraid Robert van den Heuvel has had a problem. Rob the Lobster in turn 1. I don't think this is a turn that the Audi necessarily likes too much, but that has nothing to do really with the Audi. Just comes in a little too hot and picks up the grass on the outside, but he controls it well. He's able to take it easy. And and Martin de Jong! Oh! That was a huge one for de Jong. And
yeah, and I think that's a lot of hard work sort of undone, really, as Koen Mulder now sees in his rearview mirrors that Martin de Jong, yeah, he just loads himself up on the curb so hard. He actually, to be fair, he gets away with that one as well, because the car had spat him off right at the correct angle that he can just straighten the wheel and balance the car and just cut the corner, and he'll end up losing time. But it's so much better than ending up in a wall. It's not even a tyre wall here, it's just a brick wall. So, yeah, he's going to have to do all this work again. But he has got about 15 minutes to do it, so there's every possibility.
Yeah, no doubt it could have been much, much, much worse indeed here. Oh, we've had Dirk Reski. So Dirk Reski, first of the front runners to pit. And everyone in front of Dirk Reski still haven't been in. We've had Timothy van der Broek in as well as a few other drivers here. Jose Coutinho and Paul Rodczek in the pits at the moment. And further down still, a couple of cars getting repairs at the moment. Here comes Savino Melillo in for his pit stop. And, well, sooner rather than later, he looked so fast and competitive early days in this race, but seems to have just lost that competitive edge along the way. And he's been struggling the last part of the race here, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can pick it up. He might have had a bit of damage. Get that repaired now, coming into that final bit of it. So if that's the case, I think that's going to aid him greatly indeed. Here's Nils Tiesters, who's sneaking past on one of the lap Mercedeses. Here's Koen Mulder as well, who's getting closer and closer. And then look at that behind now. Martin de Jong surely has lost a lot of time after that big moment of his.
He's lost a huge amount of time, and now Mulder, he knows that he was slightly catching Tiestas, but obviously he was having to keep one eye in his mirrors to make sure de Jong was sort of like just out of touching distance, really. De Jong's actually having to work quite hard to get past that back marker, but he managed to do it without too many problems. But yeah, Mulder can now really have two eyes, hands, feet, everything focused on trying to catch Tiestas and maybe make up one more place. As I said at the beginning of this stream, Hasse, it's really his race to make up a lot of championship points. Wide goes, I think that was Naya, is it? No, Trickerici, yeah, he goes very wide, misses his braking zone, goes straight across the circuit. And luckily, Naya just gets through and into the pits goes Trickerici.
Trickerici and Artie Pascard on his way in as well. No doubt about what went wrong for Alfredo Trickerici there, as he outbraked himself into the chicane and just had to cut across. Look at that big understeer coming in. No turn in for his BMW, and that's a silly time to do it whatsoever, as he's just about to come into the pits anyways. It's Teasters with a 1.1 second advantage. Go on, Jack. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just about to say that it's not really the smartest thing, because although you're coming into the pits, you may have planned that. You don't want to give up track position, though. He's just lost out 1 or 2 places needlessly, really. He knew by this point in the race, practice and qualifying, he should probably know where his braking point is. But his tyres may have been wearing out a little bit. Maybe his brakes were getting a little bit hot. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully he can come back with a bit of strength.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. So here we have the race leader. The top runners all pitting in here. Elroy Timerson, Nils Teasters coming in as well. And he's got Cohen Mulder right on the tail. Look at that. That might be a lot closer than we've seen those two for a long time. I think Cohen Mulder was hugely fast on the pit entrance here. He must have been. And now it's going to come down to strategy and to what pit crew, I like to think at least, will be able to do the job of fueling the car the quickest, because no doubt none of these drivers are going to go for fresh tires whatsoever here. Oh, that's a very quick stop. Those for Teasters, who's out. And here goes Mulder. He's lost out a little bit. And behind of him is Martin de Jong. He's moving as well. And Eric Verley. Here comes Dirk Reski on the outside. Is he going to get past Martin de Jong? I'm not quite sure. Oh, is he going to pass anyone? No, he isn't, because he's gone off. Dirk Reski. What timing he's chosen to do that, because just as he was actually looking to gain position after the early pit stop, he's gone and lost it in turn 1.
He had a big opportunity for an undercut, did Reski, but he just goes so hot in. He probably saw that his competitors were coming out, had one eye on the apex, one eye on them, and ended up just flying off stage exit left. Luckily, there's no kitty litter. The wall's not too close into turn 1. He's gotten away with it, but he's not getting away with this one, because Melilo goes up the inside to take 6th position away from Dirk Reski, as he was so well done tactically trying to do the undercut Reski. It's all unraveled for him, and that's because of a driver error going into turn 1. It's just so unforgiving, this circuit. This is what can happen.
Yeah, indeed. And actually, I think we've seen a surprisingly low amount of like direct retirements today. A lot of cars still running, and we haven't seen that many big accidents in the end here. A very good move, by the way, from Melilo to get past on Dirk Reski. Let's have another look at the move here, which is done into turn 6, which is not necessarily the easiest points of. This is very much a track or a place on the track where you can actually overtake if you get the good run into the corner, as he very much does. Savino Melilo now on pits of P5 because Martin de Jong's in the pits.
Well, he was in the pits in the last lap, so maybe he's had a problem. Maybe he didn't get all the fuel he needed. But Martin de Jong, maybe he's got a penalty. I don't know. But he certainly, if it's just normal racing etiquette, he shouldn't be in the pits. Let's put it that way. So there's something big gone wrong with Martin de Jong. He's now out of this race pretty much. And Cohen Mulder doesn't have to think about him at all.
No, indeed, and that's going to be a huge disappointment there for Martin de Jong, who's looking so good for so long here. Now, Cohen Mulder's nearest competitor is Eric Verley, over 8 seconds back. He's going to be in a good position as well. Here's Dirk Reski, who's ahead. Behind Melilo, behind Verley, now up into 4th place. Eric Verley. Great drive by him, very consistent, very patient, but he gets a little bit of a slide on here. Oh, and look at the pace here on the exit from Savino Melilo. Might there be a move here as they're into the final corner? He's very close. He's going to have to draft all the way down the start-finish straight, and turn 1, it's not really the place where you'd usually see all the overtakes, and this time around, it isn't either. Into turn 3, perhaps it's going to be, but that's not an easier place either way, and he gets a bad run here, though. Look up the inside there, but here comes Dirk Reski. Oh, there's a really close battle here. We're well within the final 10 minutes of racing here, Jack. And this is really coming towards the pointy end of things.
Yeah, I was actually hoping it wouldn't be the final 10 minutes, to be honest. I'm quite enjoying this. And obviously, I'm a bit of a guest here on the GT3 League. I hope to, if one of you guys can't do it again, I hope to be back on it because it's really very enjoyable. But Reski, he had the opportunity potentially going into turn 2, but it's a blind crest, a slow corner. that's really not where you want to be going too wide. It would have been a bit of accident, and he's sort of chosen well to back out of it a little bit, and he's come back now at Melillo. As you said, we've got 7 minutes left. There's every opportunity that he can make the move, but this is Melillo. This is the worst place you want to be as a racing driver, in the middle of a three-way battle, because if you try for the move on the car ahead, then the car behind is just going to see that, take advantage and go round you, unless you get the move convicted, done and dusted, and get a good exit as well, because really, we can see Reski maybe trying to put the moves on Melillo if he doesn't get this done quickly.
Yeah, indeed, for late suffering, it seems, on pace now. I just want to take this short moment to say what's up to Porsche Sport, to Samet van Dijk, Radix, to Wojciech, and 2 times Peter, and Andreas as well. Nice to have you all joining in on chat throughout the race, throughout the broadcast. Keep it coming here. Oh, there might be just a little bit of a look there from Dirk Reski on the outside of turn 3. That's not the place to do it. And he was thinking about it. He has to think twice. When Eric Farley, I think, can breathe a sigh of relief here. Oh, and Cohen Mulder. We have to have a look at this, because he's now closing in on Nils Teasters as well. So there might be a little bit of relief for him as well. But look at Dirk Reski. He's really pushing. He's got the pace. He's got the pace on on Melillo at the moment. You're into the hairpin they go. So we're coming into the final 5 minutes of action here, and I'm afraid we've had a problem, Jack, for Justin Nair.
Yeah, Justin's really not had a good time of it, and we've seen that curve prove a problem for so many of the drivers as he goes wide and then just gets overtaken potentially by the Mercedes, not sure, but yeah, Reski, we saw him, you called it, he had to think twice going into the second corner yet again for going around the outside, and thank God he did take the time to think twice as well, because if he just went barreling in there on instinct, it would have really come off the wrong place. But that is certainly where Melillo is weakest. He seems to be strong around the back section here, but going through turn 1, Melillo is really struggling to get the car balanced. Reski's really quick through there, and every time Verlet is caught by Melillo, he seems to have a little bit of a problem, a little bit of a twitch. And tell you what, he's going a bit sideways himself, Verlet, but every time Melillo goes through here, he has a bit of a twitch, and that lets Verlet just get past again.
Yeah,
or get gone again.
Yeah, indeed, into the S's. You can just see how the Mercedes is able to carry much more speed through here, through this sector, and then on through turn 5. Very tricky corner, a bit of sliding there from Melillo as well. You can hear it on the tires. And the question is if Reski, I'm sorry, it's cutting away there, but Reski, could he be able to actually take advantage here? Coming in towards the final 4 minutes racer. Oh, and Timothy van der Broek has had a problem here, I'm afraid. We're going to see here for the BMW driver, who was actually in 8th place, but I'm afraid he is no more, as he goes well onto the gravel and hits the wall as well. Timothy van der Broek, that certainly was anything but wanted in this situation. When he wanted it all here. Reski still not close enough in any way, and the same on Frink goes for Melillo on for leg as well. Reski with a big cent there, really trying to be aggressive, but too aggressive on entrance, gonna cost you time when exiting the corner. And you can see here through the final sector, the Ferrari of Savino Melillo is faster than the Mercedes around here. And who's that? Who's that going slowly? That's a Ferrari. Is that Hewson? Oh, that is Hewson. I think that's Mark Hewson indeed. Just letting the top running traffic through. Oh, and Jack, look at this under the radar. Cohen Mulder has flown, and he's now right on the tail of Eric Teasters in 2nd place.
Yeah, you're controlling the cameras, Hasse, and I say good luck to you, because choosing between this fight and the one we've been focusing on for the last couple of laps is going to be certainly very difficult for the last 3 minutes of this race. But I do have to say, we'll take this little bit of calm time before the end of the race to say that Elroy Timmer, well, basically everybody else apart from Timmer was in the 121s in qualifying. Melillo was on a 121.0 pretty much, but he was in the 121s. Elroy Timmer has yet, apart from the last lap in this race, he hasn't set a time slower than a 1 minute 20. So he's just done a 1 minute 21.5. That's because he's got about a 30-second gap between him and Tiestas. Absolutely stunning driving. But here is the fight between Verlet and Melillo as Melillo flies to the inside with the lights on. There's big contact between him and Verlet, and all of a sudden I think Reski's gone around the outside of Melillo as well, but there's even more contact between the two, and it's going to be very interesting. Hasse, how do you call it?
Well, it's a bit of a deep send, and then on the other hand, Eric Verlet also just turns in and cuts him across, and I'm afraid there isn't really much anyone else of him can do. And then The situation behind what happened there to Dirk Reski, I want to see, because he gets around the outside of Melilo in that situation. That is brave indeed. And the question is if it is going to stand there. So Melilo now ahead of Verlet after that little bit of contact, the lightest of contacts indeed, but it was enough to set the car around here. Nils Teesters is still under company and under threat from Cohen Mulder, and Teesters gets a poor run here in the chicane, or not in the chicane, in the hairpin, I'm afraid. And that's even worse news because it is the longest straight on the track. And for once, Cohen Mulder, look at this damaged Ferrari, is able to keep up more than well in the slipstream with the BMW. Is he going to be able to send it? He can go left, he can go right, he can choose whatever way he wants to. He's on the outside now, but he gets cut off. Oh, and there's an Audi crashing in front of him, and that might have caught out. Oh, Teesters as Mulder sneaks it up through, but Teesters able to close the door. And that's absolutely incredible stuff. On to the final lap they go, and Nils Teesters, as I made the mistake before, it is of course Nils Teesters, not Eric Teesters. He's still ahead. Incredible stuff here. Fantastic racing.
It's it's stunning, to be honest. I mean, I was so absorbed with that little fight and how you were calling it, to be honest. I completely forgot that I was supposed to come in and help commentate. But they're still going at it as Tiestas mounts the curb, straight lines the curb. Mulder is all over the back of this BMW. And this could be a big move in the championship as well, because obviously Mulder doesn't want to lose out in any positions. He doesn't want to get seen to be sort of span off or anything. But the more positions he gains, the more opportunity there is for championship points. But this man, Elroy Timmer, has not put a foot wrong this entire race. But on the inside goes Mulder. He's got his nose ahead into the hairpin. Will he be able to get the drag off the corner? He does indeed. He gets the move stuck. Elroy Timmer takes the no, he hasn't. He started the last lap. We've actually got one more lap because Elroy Timmer is just that fast.
He's actually made it. I think we saw the checkered flag was out, but it doesn't mean that means they have one more lap of battling as well down here, I'm afraid. Unless they're going to be written in as lap by the race leader, I don't think that's going to be happening. And Nils Teesters has kept the position for now. And behind, look at this, Savino Melilo's now putting on the pressure to Dirk Reski. And it's all happening. It's all happening in 3 different places at one time, and it's so difficult to call it. Reski keeps Melilo behind. Here's Nils Teesters. They do have one more lap of fighting here at the end, and just a few tenths of a second between them. Ooh, yeah, indeed, Ben. I'm trying. I've got a good set of lungs down there, and they shall be put to good use today here as they come down through the S's. And yet again, Melilo, we're going to be watching that one as well here between Melilo and Dirk Reski in the battle for 4th place. And indeed, amazing action. Peter, it's been amazing to watch. I'm sorry,
this is where Mulder was strong, really, and that's where he was able to gain. But actually, he's just dropped off a touch from Teesters. So this could be the opportunity. I think Timmer is going to come across the line. Now he takes the final corner. He's not put a foot wrong. He's been absolutely flying. A lights to flag victory by Elroy Timmer. Absolutely stunning drive by him. But this is the fight we're all shouting about as Mulder tries to get up to the back of Teesters. It's going to be an absolutely massive send. If he's going to try it, it's going to be almost Melilo versus Valet style of send here. Is he going to try it late on the brakes? He's on the racing line. He's not going to do it. Is he going to try on the exit, Hasse?
It's going to be a question if Nils Teesters gets the exit wrong. Oh, and Melilo's up the inside of Dirk Reski into the final part of the chicane. And I think he's done it. Oh. Or is that so? Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Savino Melilo up into 4th place at the very, very last moment here. Nils Teesters does take 2nd place ahead of Cohen Mulder and 3rd. Then Savino Melilo, Dirk Reski, and it's going to be Eric Verlet for 6th place. Artie Buskard, he's flown under the radar as well. He's coming home for 7th, right ahead of Justin Nair. And then sneaking into the top 10 in the Dairy is Scary BMW, the vegan BMW, as I want to call it. Stephen Orwell is there. And for 10th place, Alfredo Tricarici, who's had a bit of a troubled race as well. What an amazing battle there. First of all, between Teesters and Cohen Mulder. And secondly, as well, between Savino Melilo and Dirk Reski.
Well, everybody catch your breath because that was absolutely stunning. I mean, Mulder and Teesters, it was very close. I mean, it was the penultimate lap where everything got very dramatic and heated, really. The last one, Teesters managed to get a big enough gap. But Melilo, Reski, and Valet, it was absolutely stunning. Here goes Teasters back through on Mulder. This is the opportunity. This is where we saw Mulder get in on the hairpin, but Teasters just got a great run in the BMW, got in a slipstream, came out really rather early, showed his intentions nice and early, straight up to the inside of the chicane, and managed to get it stop as well, which is the key, Hasse, really, isn't it? Because it's very easy to understeer and go straight on there.
Yeah, it really is, and incredible stuff indeed for this race, and I think I'm just gonna have to take a moment just to catch my breath and take it easier and make sure not to lose my voice over this sort of action, because it was really, really, really good indeed. So just looking all the way back to the start of the race here. Well, that's a nice little thing to have again, because it was indeed a bit of a wonky start, as you will see in a moment here from Savino Melillo. I think a lot of these drivers not really used to just where they started it all, and you can see that Elroy Timmer wanted to slow down, and all of a sudden Savino Melillo found himself going very, very, very slowly indeed, and off they went. Koen Mulder, brilliant start from him, and then actually a very clean run down through turn 1 here as well. But anyway, Jack, a brilliant race yet again here, and with that said, it's time to do the race interviews. And with that said, I'm gonna pull in and have a word with our race winner, Elroy Timmer. So Elroy, nice to have you along here in the booth with us, and for the second race in a row, a big congratulations for a commanding race win. Lights to flag, you made it look almost easy out there today, was it?
Yeah, it was a nice race between the woods of Road Atlanta. It felt like cutting the corners like a lumberjack, and yeah, the pace was there, tires were good, so yeah, I loved it. I loved the race.
And 2 wins out of 2 possible races. Does this make you a little sad that you didn't get in earlier? And because you look to be so competitive that had you been in from the beginning, you could have been looking at a potential championship win.
Yeah, that's a bummer, but yeah, I trained a lot for these races. So yeah, for next season maybe, but yeah. It was a good one, and maybe for next season we can get a championship in.
And indeed, and just before we get you off the hook again and out of the booth, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to or a thank you to? Or anything?
Yeah, of course. Niels Fulsen-Tiesters, because he became second. It's my teammate Justin, and it's a shame that Eric and Justin have been took out by Melino, but yeah, shit happens. And yeah, I want to thank to my fans, and that was it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Elroy. Thanks for joining us in the booth here. Congratulations with another brilliant win, another brilliant performance. And I hope to see you again in the booth post-race for another interview in a couple of weeks. So a short word there with our race winner for today, Elroy Timmer. I'm going to let you over to Jack Oliphant with second place finish, Niels Teasters.
Well, Niels, that was a very difficult end to the race, wasn't it? Congratulations on second place, but you had to work hard for it.
Yeah, in the beginning I made the moves to P2, and then I had to control of P2, and at the end of the race I was low on fuel, so I had to save a lot of fuel to hold it.
Well, that's interesting, actually, because that's something we didn't actually talk about in commentary, is the fact that you may well have to fuel save. Is you and Koen, because actually you guys got very, very close, and it was a great fight to call. We couldn't decide whether we were going to focus on your fight or the one behind, but it must be enjoyable for you to race in the series with drivers that are so close together and the racing is so competitive.
Yeah, it was fun, the race. So fun battles with Koen, so...
Well, it's good to hear that you sort of did enjoy it, and yeah, the start of that race, you made your way through because you didn't qualify quite as high up as I'm sure you would have liked, as in practice you were showing real pace, and obviously you showed it in the end in the race. So was that a bit of what happened in qualifying? Was it just a bit harder, or did some people surprise you with their pace?
No, the problem is I didn't have clean pace, so it was hard to set a decent time for me. So
Wow, congratulations on the second place. In the end, obviously, as I said, you fought hard for it and deserved it as well. So congratulations, Niels. We'll let you go, but before we do, is there anybody you'd like to give a quick shout out to or thanks to?
yeah, my teammates for the training together and stuff. We learn from each other, so it's fun to drive with them.
Awesome stuff, Niels. Thank you very much for the quick interview, and we'll let you get on to enjoying that second place.
Right.
So that was Jack Oliphant with Niels Teasters indeed, who did indeed finish second after a very, very good race and a strong, long battle with the man I'm now supposed to have a word with, and I'm going to pull him in immediately. It is, of course, Koen Mulder. And Koen, after a hard-fought and long battle with Niels Teasters, you come out P3. You satisfied with that?
No, guys. Yes, very satisfied. Unfortunately, not P2, but the fight with Niels was very satisfying. So, yeah, P3 is okay.
And I almost lost my voice commentating on that stuff over the last couple of laps. I imagine it must have been intense to be in the middle of the battle. Was it so?
Yeah. If you're gonna look my heart rate, it's I think it's over 180. So and sweating like yeah, true.
Incredible stuff. And last question here. This third place does leave you in a very good position in the overall standings, given that neither Pete Plastow or Valdez Suarez Jr. was able to make the start of the race today. What are your thoughts on the remaining 4 races in the championship?
Crosses my mind. I didn't saw Pete and Valdeiro on the grid, so and I know Eric Verlet is behind me, so I was thinking, all right, gonna attack or try to remain third. So I'm happy, and 4 races left. So let's keep the third place. That's the first choice.
Indeed. So great to have you in for another interview, and of course, we do wish you the best and hope to see you again in the booth next time around in 2 weeks' time. Now, before we let you off the hook, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, or thank you to, or anything of the like?
Of course, thanks to all my friends, family, and especially my mother in this case, and of course you and the organization. So see you next time on the podium.
That's the stuff and that's the spirit going. Thanks for joining us here in the booth. It was a pleasure, and enjoy the evening.
Yep, you guys.
So that was the last of our interviewees for tonight. That was indeed Koen Mulder, and a good bit of spirit from him, I think, Jack. It's the way to go into it, if you ask me. Anyways, I think, or actually, don't think for once. I don't think I know. But I know that's going to be the end of the show for tonight. If you did enjoy what you see, or what you saw, or what you've seen, to be correct, at least in a couple of ways, do give us a like on the video and consider subscribing if you want to see more from myself, Hasse Rømer, and Jack Oliphant here from the SimracerCoin GT3 Sunday GT3 World League. It has been an absolute brilliant show indeed, and I'm really looking forward until next time. So with that said, until next time, from me and Jack, take care, have fun, bye bye.